Welcome back, guys. This is Weddings Made Perfect podcast. My name is Ty, as always, and I got the wonderful Gabby across from me. We're Weddings Made Perfect podcast. So if you haven't been listening to us, I don't know what you've been doing with your lives. This is episode 9. We got some really cool tips and knowledge for you today. We're going to be talking about wedding timeline, kind of before the factor of what you should be doing before the big day, and then actually a timeline being built on the actual day. So definitely this is going to be a great podcast for you to listen to for any information that you may need to build an actual timeline before and during the actual day. So anyways, guys, if you guys haven't been listening to us, we are on Spotify, so definitely check us out there. We're on Anchor.fm. We're on Google Podcasts. We're also on YouTube, so definitely check us out on YouTube. I've seen our last podcast already. We just dropped it yesterday, but it already has like 20 views, which actually has the most views we've had for like a video in a day. So it's coming out. It's getting there.
Somebody's watching it.
Obviously, some of you guys are watching it.
Unless it's you. Did you watch it 20 times in a row?
No.
Okay.
So I would like to, but I don't have time to do it, of course. But yeah, I mean, like you guys are watching it, so definitely try to give us a like, try to comment. We love to hear from you guys. So you could email us at weddingsmadeperfectpodcast@gmail.com. I know that's super long and I apologize, but that's how we have it. It's just weddingsmadeperfectpodcast@gmail.com. And also, if you don't want to email us, you could just comment on any of our videos, any of our posts on Instagram, any of our posts on Facebook. We're there. We're going to try to get better with the social media where we're going to post a little bit of our videos and potentially some bloopers. I got to talk to Gabby to see if that's okay or not. But I was planning on potentially giving us a little bit of snippets of the actual episode so you guys kind of could see it on social media. So if that's something that you guys want us to do, or maybe do like a burst video of some sort of like different tips, definitely give us an idea or options for that. So with that being said, guys, we're going to start this podcast with wedding timelines. But before we do that, we do have a sponsor.
Weddings Made Perfect podcast is sponsored by ND Events, LLC. ND Events is a St. Louis-based events company that specializes in photography, videography, DJ, and photo booth services, as well as officiant and event planning coordination services. You can find ND Events at ndevents.com. That's ENDY events.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at ND Events.
So check them out. Yeah.
So I have a tip for you today, Tyler.
Of course.
Today's tip is directly related to the podcast, as it usually is. Today's tip is to utilize a master checklist. Now, there are several of these downloadable checklists and timelines. You can find them on, Through the Knot. You could literally Google wedding timeline, and I bet you 50 of them pop up. So you can find these anywhere, and they will help keep you on track. And they also may include tips or services or suggestions that you maybe had not considered or wouldn't consider until it might have been too late. So what I suggest is to pin this checklist somewhere really important to you, maybe by your personal calendar with all your different dates and events, and go ahead and check off the things that you've accomplished, or circle and highlight the things that you need to do that particular month. Because if you forget about it or you let it go too long, we know things can be booked and they can slip away from you.
And just to kind of relay some of the things that she said, I literally last night, I was kind of organizing my notes and stuff like that. And I just typed in weddings timeline, and immediately when it popped up, the first 5 things were templates that you could actually use to create it. So there's things out there that could even set you up, even if you're not knowing how to physically set up a timeline before or during the day. There's actual material out there that will actually help you out to completely set up your timeline, and just making sure you're gaining those checklists and stuff, because you don't want to, when the day comes, you forget maybe a veil, or you forget the flowers, or just you don't want to forget a certain detail. So definitely I would advise you to definitely make a checklist, because
Yeah. You can even buy, they have books at Michael's that, will keep you on track, all that good stuff.
Start a binder, start a website, Zola. I mean, we're not sponsored by them, but Zola is a great place. Definitely just do something that you could do to make sure you have that checklist down.
Absolutely. And we're kind of going to go into the different things that you might see on that checklist throughout this podcast. And I took all of the notes and suggestions and tips that I'm about to say, I took it from a couple different places. And it should be noted that a lot of these checklists started about a year out and plan kind of throughout up to the day of. But there are some things that we highly recommend you do even more than a year out. So I kind of backed most of these things up about 2 months. I know on the last podcast, you and I talked about how booking a photographer should probably be done at least a year in advance, if possible.
Definitely.
So that should be one of the first things you do, because those are the people where their dates fill up as soon as, we're getting bookings for 2022 at this point. So
yeah, and definitely that's a good thing to say. And also, like, she'll definitely talk more about it because this is definitely going to be a segment that Gabby's going to go through at first. But definitely, kind of the rule of thumb is once you get engaged, you want to immediately start looking for the venue, the actual date that you guys potentially want. So there's a specific date that you guys have a very certain meaning behind it, like maybe a day that you guys met, or the first dance, or first kiss. Or just something that is special for you guys. You want to make sure that that date is even available for the venue. But immediately after following that, you want to get your photographers or videographers or some sort of services that will be able to be booked on that day, because there are going to be several people on that day doing the same thing.
Yeah. And obviously all of these things say different things. This, to me, I would just say is what this timeline is. I would want to do these things by this day. So if you've done some of these things way past, what it's saying to do, that's great. I would just say on what, if choosing a wedding dress, definitely have that done by the timeline. So that's just of note. So we're going to start from the engagement all the way to, I say, about 14 plus months out of the wedding date. So the different things I would suggest doing within this time period would be to first tell your family and friends. There was one note that said you definitely don't want your mother to find out from, your best friend that you've gotten engaged. You definitely want to be the first person that tells your immediate family and the people that mean the most to you. And then celebrate with an engagement party. And after that, like we said, pick your date. So this is going to kind of create the timeline from here of where you're going to kind of go backwards from. And then get inspiration from magazines, websites, Pinterest. We all know you can find 1,000 different styles of weddings, themes of weddings, all that good stuff. You can find everything online. The odds are whatever you're thinking about doing has probably already been done before. And it's very easy to work off of somebody else's kind of ideas and make them your own, but kind of utilize it in a way. You're going to want to get those themes and colors together, decide on a budget with your fiance, so a number that is not negotiable. So if you have maxed it out, don't try and spend more than you have. This is your set number. And again, you're going to want to keep about 5% of that budget for any emergency funds or extra fees that pop up. So keep that in mind as well. And then decide on a rough number of guests. This is also going to kind of help you when you're deciding on your caterer and your venue and all that good stuff. Just have kind of a rough idea. You're not going to know who's going to want to come, especially these days with COVID and everything. You never know who's going to kind of back out last minute, but you want to have a rough idea.
And then also some of the services actually want a rough number because it actually varies depending on what it is. So for example, if you're doing a food catering, if you're doing a plated dish, they actually, each plate costs a certain amount. And then sometimes if you have a certain number, you can actually get certain discounts. So definitely make sure that you have at least an average of 50 people or 80 people that you know for sure that they're going to say yes. Make sure you're giving at least some sort of number and then kind of fluctuate from that. But make sure that you're communicating with your services of whatever food option you're doing, because it does vary. Because even buffet, if you're planning on doing a buffet, they have it down to the amount of people that should be feeding for the buffet. So even if you're doing a buffet, it's not a limited food. Sorry. If you have, let's say you have 50 people and you get enough food to technically serve 80, then technically you could have a whole, like you could go back into line and get it again.
Yeah.
But the only thing is though, sometimes people can't do that. And so you want to make sure that you have it down exactly to as close as possible the number you're thinking of, because it will vary on your prices and it could kind of fluctuate your budget.
The last few things you're going to want to do in this 14 plus month out time period is to create a wedding website as well as a wedding email. So you can kind of get the roots down for what you're going to be giving out to your vendors, and also research your vendors. So start looking around, seeing who you like, what different styles, aspects you like from your different vendors, like photographer, videographer. If there's somebody you have in mind, reach out as soon as possible. So from here, we're going to move on to about the 14 to 12 month out period. So it's about a year out, a little prior. You're going to want to meet with a wedding planner if that's something you plan to do. If not, I'd suggest, again, getting some sort of checklist or something from the internet that can kind of keep you on track of what you're looking for. You're going to want to book your venue ASAP. And then with the venue, you're usually going to find your caterer. They'll either come with that venue or they'll have probably some suggestions, or if you have somebody in mind, I would get that booked as soon as possible as well. This is a good time for you to attend a bridal show as well, kind of get a feeler for all the venues around your area. And try and book your photographer or videographer as soon as possible. We cannot stress this enough. You're also going to want to create your guest list. So at this point, you should really be nailing down pretty much everybody that you want to come, and choosing your wedding party as well. So you're going to want to figure out who your best man is, who your bridesmaids are, get the fight done with the maid of honor, all that good stuff. And go dress shopping. This is a good time to kind of shop around, get into some different feels. You don't want to put that off for too long, because some people have a hard time deciding what they're going to want, and just at least getting a good feel for the style that looks best on you and feels best. This is a good time to do that. And attend some cake tastings. Get a feeler out for that as well. Try to figure out which kind of style you guys are looking for, and all that. So about 12 to 9 months out, this is when you're going to want to reserve a ceremony location if this is not the same as your venue. You're also going to want to book your officiant as well. This is a good time as well for you to have your engagement session. I highly suggest, as I said before, to try to have this be the same photographer as your wedding photographer, so you guys can kind of develop that chemistry, get a relationship going, all that good stuff.
And then also, it's a good idea to actually do an engagement session with that said photographer, because you could also use these photos for save the dates and also your invitations. So that's how you actually have photos already done, so you could use it for whatever you need to use it for the actual wedding. So definitely that's another idea to kind of do, because then on those invitations and save the dates, it kind of will give an idea of like your theme of your wedding. So you don't have to do it, but I mean, I've seen some people do it where they're not like wearing their actual like wedding dress or like tuxedo or something like that, but they are actually wearing certain type of colors that is going to be associating with the actual wedding. So if you're that much of very OCD with that, then definitely do that. But I mean, it's just another option. But definitely, I would suggest doing the engagement session so you actually have photos for your save the date and invitations.
Yeah, which would actually go out in this time period as well. So you're going to want to get those save the dates together and send those out as soon as possible, so that people know what day they're going to need to be reserving, especially if it's during kind of the more busy wedding season. So as well as this, we're going to finalize our guest list. We're going to book our DJ and entertainment, book a florist, and book your cake. These are 3 big checklists that should be done about that year out mark, I would say. You want to get that stuff done as soon as possible. Design your invitations, which can be done with that online website that you had already, and reserve tux and attire for grooms and groomsmen, and plan your bachelorette and bachelor parties.
So for the reserving the tuxedos and stuff like that, with the background of me actually working at a tuxedo store at one time, this is a great time actually. The year out is perfect for you to do that for you guys. You're probably thinking a year out, that's a lot of time. My body could have fluctuated from a year. Honestly, if you don't lose more than 15 pounds, it's not going to change at all for the actual sizes, because if you are actually renting a tuxedo, especially for like Men's Warehouse or Savvy or just those type of like generic, not generic stores, and I don't mean like that, but like just those type of corporate stores, they actually do not have belt loops. They actually have expandable waistlines where it actually fluctuates by 3 waist. So if you're like a 32, it's 32, 33, 34. So if you actually gain weight, you actually will just go up the size as opposed to going down. So it definitely one of those things where it doesn't really affect the guys until about 15 pounds. So if you are massively going to lose a lot of weight and you are going to hit that 15-pound mark, then definitely roughly about 4 months out, definitely do another like resizing. So that's how you could be prepared for that. But other than that, though, at least Men's Warehouse and Savvy and just like those type of corporate places, even like Joseph A. Banks and stuff like that, they definitely will have resizable necklines. You're going to get a clip-on tie or bow tie regardless. The waistline is going to be adjustable, so there's no belt loops and all that stuff. Now, if you're getting an actual suit, then I would actually advise you doing that roughly 6 months out. If it's an actual suit that you're going to be tailored and altered to your actual size, I would do it a little bit later. But if you're just renting a tuxedo, this is a perfect time.
So after this is going to be that 9 to 6 month out period. This is going to be a great time to go shopping for bridesmaids dresses. You should already be kind of having a good idea of what your wedding dress is going to look like if you haven't already booked it. So you can kind of base it off of that. You should have your colors done as well. So it shouldn't be too hard to find those bridesmaids dresses. Book your hairstylist and makeup artist. This is a good time, but I would say even farther back if you can do it. Get that on the books as well. Schedule alterations for your bridesmaids and your own dress. Create a registry at your favorite local place. I've heard a lot of different people say that it's best to kind of stick to one location or kind of area, to like a mall for your registry. That way people aren't going to a million different places and they can all keep it pretty local. Also, arrange any transportation that you need. This could be a party bus. This could be just a shuttle for your guests. A lot of people use shuttles for wineries if it's pretty far out from their location. This is a great time to book that as well. Book your honeymoon. Book any hotels rooms if necessary. Book your rehearsal dinner location and order rental items. This could be your chairs, linens, tents, draping, decor, etc. A lot of that good stuff should be done about this time, the 9 to 6 months out. This is also a great time for you to have those bachelorette and bachelor parties as well.
So you don't want to do the bachelor and bachelorette party the day before? What?
That's such a bad idea.
So
I cannot stress how bad of an idea that is.
I want to hear this because
You
I mean,
wanna
you don't
hear
want
how
to
bad of an
have
idea this
you don't want to
is?
have like a hangover moment where you're like tripping on the rooftop and also you have no idea what's going on and like people are missing. Like
Have you woken up from a day from a bachelorette party?
I have not actually been a part of a wedding because I've always been shooting it, so I have no idea how it feels.
It hurts. The bags under your eyes are very hard to get off, and I cannot stress how bad of an idea it is. Not to mention, there are some people that I've heard many stories of these parties actually ruining the wedding. The events that go on throughout the night sometimes are not cleared very well with the two partners, and this actually breaks them up. So I think it's better to kind of like, if this is going to happen, at least it happened like 9 to 6 months out than the day before the wedding. But of course, that will never happen to you. Don't worry.
I'm not much of a partier anymore. So whenever I do get married, like bachelor party for me is just going to be just probably going to like, I don't know, depending on COVID and stuff even too. It's just probably just going to be hanging out, just playing games at somebody's place and just drinking or whatever. But I don't really I never really got the whole strip clubs and like or renting one or doing that or going out or just I never really understand. I know technically it's the whole like it's your last little hoorah before getting married.
Right.
But I don't do that already. So why would I do that for like my final time?
Right.
So it's just kind of one of those like weird moments where it's like I don't need to prove anything where I don't need my last little hoorah. My last little hoorah was right before I started to date the person. So I just never really understood why that was a big
personally.
thing.
Obviously,
I mean, I get the celebratory thing of like let's hang out, have fun, like go to a place, like I don't know, go see a movie, or I might be boring, but like go see a movie, or like go I don't know golfing or bowling or something.
I know a lot of
like,
people use it as a
paintball.
time to like take a trip with their friends. So I have a friend of mine. She brought all her friends down to Branson, and they just kind of hung out and went to the lake and had mimosas and danced.
I mean, I'd rather just like with my buds go paintballing or something.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather do something that's fun to do. Like I don't know. I just never really. I guess because I'm a casual drinker. I'm not like a partier anymore.
Right.
So like I like to sip and just relax and just by a fire or something, just hanging out. Like I don't really need.
The whole point, in my opinion, is to do what you think is the most fun. Yeah. I would say, and if it's not strippers, then don't do strippers. Okay.
So, but then also for booking hotels if necessary, definitely if you guys are going to do a location that's not in your guys' hometown where your families and friends are staying, you may want to like definitely book in advance because you don't know. So like let's say you were doing it in like Orlando, Florida. Let's say that there's like some massive thing happening in Orlando, Florida that's going to take up a lot of hotel places. You want to make sure you're booking those rooms because there might be an event or something that's happening. You know, that's,
could be 2 weddings.
Yeah, because I mean, it wasn't a wedding, but last year or I think the ending of 2019, I went to Vegas, and when Sarah and I got off the flight in Vegas, we realized how packed and busy it was. And of course we're just like, oh, it's Vegas. But we didn't know that it was like the world's championship rodeo thing happening.
Rodeo? Yeah. I thought you were about to say chess. I was like,
no,
whoa,
like,
that's lit.
like it was like the ESPN like, rodeo, the championship.
How many Spurs did you see that weekend?
None. There's a lot of Cowboys. I wasn't trying to pay attention. I was just trying to figure out how to get out of there.
A lot of Cowboys.
Like the Uber was going to take like 2 hours long just to get to the airport. It was going to be like $100 and something, and I'm just like, this is not happening. And it was the thing was the Vegas was packed.
Yeah,
packed that week.
Yeah,
and I'm just like.
You didn't do your research, Tyler.
I didn't do my research.
Do your research.
Basically, what I'm saying is if you're going to Vegas, you never know if you're going to see some Cowboys. Definitely do your research because you don't want to like get stuck with.
You don't want to be with Cowboys.
If
you didn't plan to be with Cowboys.
They love their slots.
That makes sense.
I don't know why.
Makes sense.
I'm sitting there and he's just like.
He's earning an honest living. He's playing the slots.
Do you want to play this game? No, sir. You could have it. Just leave me alone.
Okay, moving on. So next timeline, about 6 to 3 months out. This is when you're really kind of finalizing a lot of the details. So you're going to want to book your ceremony musicians if you have not already done that. Purchase anything that goes under your dress, wink, wink, ladies, or accessories for your dress. You should probably want to have your shoes by now, but your jewelry, all that good stuff. Figure out, if you're doing your something blue, something borrowed, all that fun stuff. Get that together. You're going to want to finalize your menu, bar, and details with your caterer. This is super, super important. You should have all of your guest numbers down by now, hopefully, if your guests have installed on their RSVPs. And you want to get all these numbers down and make sure that there are no miscommunication with the caterers, etc. You're going to want to mail your invitations. I do this, again, as early as possible. Purchase your wedding bands. Choose your reception music as well. This is your first dance, daddy-daughter dance. Get kind of a rough playlist together for your DJ. That's always a good idea, so they know kind of your style, what you're looking for. You're going to want to talk through your ceremony with your officiant. Update your passports for your honeymoon if this is necessary. Schedule your groom fittings. Hopefully you haven't lost more than 15 pounds, like Tyler said. Research your marital license for your state. This is a big one. I see a lot of people on the Facebook groups, the KC resale wedding groups, St. Louis resale wedding groups. So many people asking how to get a marriage license, what they should do, how to change their name, all that good stuff. It's all online, ladies. Do your research. And also begin your marital counseling if this is something that you wanted to do. So go ahead and get that out of the way.
So definitely kind of backing up what you said for the choosing reception music. If you're having a hard time picking music out or just trying to figure out like what everybody's interested in, what a great idea to do is definitely from like even on because Zola has an option for this as well. But you could also do this on your save the date invitations to making sure that they're RSVPing. On the invitations, you could actually put music option or like what song would you like to hear played during the reception. So not only it gives you ideas for the music for the DJ, but also it gives people chances to kind of request without actually requesting on the day of, because I'm not gonna lie, I mean I never really have done a DJ job at the actual like wedding day, but I do know that I have friends that have done DJing for weddings, and one of their biggest pet peeves is people coming up to them and requesting. There's some companies that allow that, which I get, and that's fine. But to avoid that like type of, I guess, conversations with the DJ during that day, especially him not having to worry about people running up to his gear and stuff, this kind of gives you an opportunity to be able to build an actual playlist with songs already pre-done. So that's how nobody doesn't have to worry about it, and everyone's getting the song that they want. So that's a good option to do.
Yeah.
Also, definitely for the passport, you want to update that. Once again, we are dealing with a pandemic situation. It's not going to be, it's definitely going to be different between different countries if you are wanting to go out of the country. So like it may fluctuate depending on what happens. I know somebody, one of the recent weddings while it was happening, they were wanting to go to Italy, but they had to stay here for a couple of weeks because they had to get through all the testings and stuff like that. And then it took a little long for them to do it. And then the worrisome was when they were getting out of there, getting out to Italy, would they be able to come back? And actually, when they did go out there, they had to stay for additional 14 days before they were able to do anything because they had to go straight into quarantine. So you want to make sure that you don't want to get ruined where like they're spending for, a couple of days or something in quarantine at that country, which you never knew that it was going to happen. So you want to definitely do your research on that because you don't want to get stuck in Cancun.
Absolutely. I know this says 6 to 3 months out. Personally, I'm a planner. The minute I know if I'm going like out of the country for the honeymoon, I'm going to start looking into that because it can take forever, not to mention with this current situation we have going on. You just want to be really careful about that.
Again, marriage counseling, definitely, that sounds kind of weird. Like, why would you need counseling? You haven't even been married yet. Basically, there are some situations where you may not like, for like religious purposes or just beliefs or morals, you may not be living with that said person, or you haven't done anything to figure out like what you guys, may want, because maybe you believe in something where you only do those certain type of things after you get married, or you have to be married to do anything. So this kind of gives you a chance to kind of put everything on the table with the person that is licensed to do this, and is kind of go through things or potential ticks or, whatever that you guys may not have honestly talked about. And I know it's kind of a weird conversation to have, but if you guys are able to do that, like one-on-one, then definitely do it and just kind of ask and just figure out like what it is. Like if you are in a position where you don't live with each other and you just don't know like what their habits are and stuff like that, it's definitely good enough to like kind of sit on the table and make sure that everything is balanced, everything is equal, because you never know how that person actually lives. And, you may get married and all of a sudden 2 months later, you're going to be like, oh, like,
who did I marry?
crap, like this person is completely different, or
Yeah.
it definitely is kind of one of those things where you want to kind of get everything on the table before you ended up marrying the person, because supposedly you're supposed to be with that person forever until you guys pass away. So definitely.
Another kind of touchy topic similar to that would be a prenup. I know some people can find it, they could get hurt that, you even request a prenup because, well, where are we supposed to get?
I know that word is so taboo for some reason.
It really is. But seriously, guys, protect your finances. It's better for both of you in the end, honestly. Have a conversation. It's going to be a probably awkward conversation, but if you can't talk to the person you're going to marry about your finance situation and just the possibility of things not always turning out the way you want them to, then are you going to marry this person? Mm. But anyways, so for the next timeline, we're at that 3 months out to about a month out. And this is going to be a great time to draft your wedding day timeline and share with vendors. This is going to be what Ty is going to go through with us in a bit here. This is going to be a great time to apply for your marriage license, have your final dress fitting, call any guests that have not RSVP'd. If Uncle Ted still hasn't RSVP'd, threaten to take away his dinner because he better freaking RSVP. You guys should have your guest list done definitely by now, but if they still haven't gotten back to them, tell them you're going to take away their dinner. I promise they'll get back to you. This is another great time to do your final walkthrough of the venue. Make sure everything for your decor, the setup, all that stuff is taken care of. Purchase any gifts for your bridal party or family. Purchase your guest favors as well. Write your vows. Select your readings. And purchase any small items. May it be cake toppers, guest book, etc.
No, the vows. Write your vows. Month to 3 months out. Definitely should be doing that. I mean, I know that there's some. I'm trying to think here. Some times where you'll have like an officiant that'll just do the basic, but this is also a good time for you to kind of talk to your spouse now, like if you are engaged, like even before, just asking if you guys want to do like your own personal vows. Personally, I think those are better. I mean, yeah, I know it puts you kind of on the spot of kind of customizing a certain thing, but honestly, if you're not creative, there are so many resources out there to kind of like build one. Mm-hmm. So I'm not telling you to go like word for word on a certain like Pinterest one, but definitely just, grab your resources. Like we live in a day now where you can literally Google anything. So Google it and just try to figure out like what options you may have, or if maybe there's like a favorite book that, she likes or he, or, just something that as they live their life on, like quote wise or whatever, like definitely find things that signifies them as a person and just kind of build it from that. It's not that hard. It really isn't. Yeah.
It's more personal that way. You don't want to regret not being personal in one of the biggest moments of your life.
Yeah. You don't want to be like, I love you. That's it. Mic drop. You don't want that. Some people may do that. So, I've seen it before, but it's just do a little bit more just than
try a little harder.
You're the piece of my heart.
God.
You're the one that you've been missing. I've seen them all.
Okay, so the next timeline here is about that 2 week out timeline. I only have a few notes here. This would be a good time to break in your wedding shoes, walk inside days on end with those shoes. Break them in. You do not want to regret this the day of, when you're crying, running around, trying to walk. This is also a good time to give a final head count to your caterer. This should be final. And the last thing is just to prepare any final payments that you have to your vendors. So last one, I'm going to kind of go over kind of far out. That 1 week out, we're going to go ahead and want to prepare any wedding day emergency kits. This can be Tylenol, sewing kit, makeup, etc.
Those are crucial, by the way, those like wedding kits. they are always used. Every single time I see a bridal party actually creating one of those like essential kits, it is always used from beginning to end. And I mean, I've seen them used all the time. So definitely throw things in there that you may need, like a little sewing thread or batteries or Tylenol or Pedialyte or just something like
A Tide stick.
Like you'll be surprised for the amount of stuff that you may need to get. Once again, easy Pinterest ideas and easy Google, just type it in. There's you have so much resource out there to kind of like create your own and customize it, but definitely it is worth even throwing like a $10 or something inside of it. You never know when you need to like go grab like a monster or something. You just don't know.
Absolutely. And if you have a wedding planner, they're probably going to have this for you, but I would ask just to be sure. This 1 week out is another good time to pack for your honeymoon. For the ladies or men, get a facial, a wax, tan, massage, etc. Let's be gorgeous. Prepare your tips for the vendors. Put them in envelopes, label them, give them to someone responsible that will not forget, because it is going to be a whirlwind of a day. And so it's fair to not expect you to remember to do it, but give it to somebody who will. Your maid of honor, your mother, whoever.
And it actually is optional. So you don't have to tip, but the thing is, it's like your service people that been there, they're like, you got to understand that they've been there all day, especially for your photographers and videographers. If they start in the morning with you and end roughly around 9 or 10 o'clock, they're going to be there from 10 to 12 hours. So that's a long day. I mean, if you think about it as a work day, you normally only work it for 8 hours, and they're pushing around 10 or 12 hours. And yeah, they are signing up doing this. This is their job, so they know how long it's going to be. But at the same time, though, they're working the whole time. So it definitely is. It's a nice gesture to at least tip them or get like a little gift. I've actually had in the past where one of my personal weddings that I did, they actually got me a really nice like a charger, like a USB, like portable charger.
Okay.
And like it was a really nice one where it was like heavy duty and it had like different ports and stuff. And so it was a nice little gift that for us, like, hey, thank you so much for doing this for us. We have this for you. And it was actually it was a really cool like gesture and gift.
Yeah.
And I would never even think of that.
Right.
So like it could be even like a little gift of some sort. It doesn't have to be money. It could be just anything that you think that is meaningful for you guys just to give. So
Absolutely. This is also a great time to give your marital license to the officiant, finalize your rehearsal dinner plans, finalize your timeline with your photographers and videographers. So this is when you're going to call them up and say, we are starting at this time. We should be done at this time. Everything happening in between, where we're going, where to show up, all that stuff. They need to know those things, as well as your hairstylist and makeup artist also need to know those times as well.
I'll definitely be going over that more after when Gabby is all done. But yeah, those are very crucial for those type of services.
And last but not least, for that 1 week out, you're going to want to have a professional clean your rings. This is something I actually didn't think of until my friend, who's getting married in October, mentioned it to me. And I was like, man, that's a great idea. You definitely should have your rings cleaned. They're going to be photographed. Everybody's going to be looking at them. It's half the point you're there. So definitely, it might be a charge, but I'd have a professional clean your rings before that big day comes up. And then for that 1 day out, so day before your wedding, this is likely to be your rehearsal dinner, so obviously enjoy your rehearsal dinner. But this is also a great time to get a manicure or pedicure so that it's nice and beautiful for the next day. Sign your marriage license, walk through the venue one more time, adjust any decor that you don't like, make sure everything's set up correctly. Again, enjoy that rehearsal dinner and give out those gifts that you bought earlier to your bridal party or family to say thank you for all the work that they've done in these 14 months leading up. And then last day of, I'm just going to hit some little notes and then I'm going to send it off to Tyler. Make sure to give the rings to that best man. Allow plenty of time to get ready. Eat in the morning. Eat in the morning. You never know when you're going to get to eat later. It's going to be a whirlwind of a day.
I've seen a lot of people pass out. It's not fun, especially during summers. You don't want to pass out because you're dehydrated or you just haven't eating thing the whole day.
Yeah, and your bridal party is going to be following you around as well. And so provide food for them too. Give them a breakfast or a lunch if it's kind of later in the day. Make sure people get food. And then obviously enjoy your day.
All right, so Gabby just went through literally before about, what do you say, 14 months, you said?
Something like that.
Yeah, about 14 months out all the way up to the day of. Now I'm going to go through the actual day of. So this is going to be a generic timeline. So it's going to be different for everybody. I understand that there's going to be like a certain timeline that you guys may want, depending on what you guys want to do. But this is just a very, 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 very generic timeline. So please do not take this like from word to word. If you want to take it from word to word, that's fine. But definitely, I would just take some just generic notes on this because it definitely will. It's probably things that you probably haven't even thought about, and so that's why I'm kind of bringing it up. This is kind of structured because I am a cinematographer. It is definitely structured for the photographers and videographers, and also like hair, makeup, those type of services because this is kind of. This is crucial for us. We need to have a timeline because we need to know when we're starting and when we're ending. Because like I said, we're going to be with you from 10 to 12 hours long, depending on it. I understand that on Fridays, they're a little more half days. So it's about roughly like 6 to 8 hours. But if it's a Saturday or Sunday, we're there all day from beginning to end. So we want to make sure that we're getting everything we can possible. And so this is what's going to happen. So the key to a wedding day timeline that runs smoothly is planning ahead. Breaking down your entire wedding day into an organized timeline helps to keep everything on track when the big day finally arrives. The more details you can make the plan, the better. As a rule of thumb, wedding ceremonies typically last 30 minutes to an hour. Although short and sweet weddings programs are okay, and most weddings receptions typically last 4 to 5 hours. Note that this wedding timeline also assumes the ceremony and reception are being held at the same venue, which means guests won't need to travel to a separate party location before cocktail hour can begin. If you're having your wedding reception at a different site, make sure to add travel time according for the time it will take for the guests to make their way to the post-ceremony festivities. So, this structured timeline that I created for you guys are technically for a place or a venue that you could have the reception and ceremony done at the same place. Now, I understand that some people may want to do it during like a church, or like let's say you are Catholic and you're doing a Catholic mass, or you believe in like a non-denominational religion, but you want to get it done at the church or like a home church you guys are from. You could do that there, but then they may not offer you a place for the reception part. So you may actually have to get a venue on the side. So you want to make sure to build time for people to travel, because I've been in it where there's a ceremony done in one part of the city, and then all of a sudden they want to do like a reception at a actual wine yard. So we have to literally go all the way out like an hour and a half away just to get to the reception area. So you got to think, how your guest is going to get there and stuff like that. So it's easier to try to get like a same location, but I understand them. There might be a certain reasoning why you can't do that. So I'm not doing that type of timeline because those timelines are definitely longer. I'm just doing a basic structure as if it was done at the same place. So with that being said, a normal day will have the ceremony starting roughly around 1 to 2-ish p.m. So you would want everything in the morning being done leading up to that. So ideally, normally time ceremony is starting around like 1 or 2. I understand that there's some timelines that I've done where like the ceremony is not until like 5 p.m. But like this is just kind of like a basic structure as if like let's say the ceremony is scheduled for like 2 o'clock. So around like 8 to 9 a.m., that's when hair and makeup should be starting. This is going to be kind of more on the bridal side because bridal side definitely tends to have more things needing to be done. You guys want to look all nice and glamorous and flashy. You guys have makeup and stuff that you want to do and hair you want to do. Guys, we're kind of just chilling at this time or still sleeping probably at this point. So guys, we're always like, we kind of rush things. This is how we are. So we will probably wake up, take a shower, and just kind of get somewhat dressed, and then probably get ready around 15 minutes prior to whatever needs to be done. That's just how we are. It's just, I don't know why. But for this is kind of for more of the bridal party side. So around 8 or 9, that's when you're kind of starting the hair and makeup process. Roughly around 10 a.m., that's when the photographers and videographers will arrive. So the wedding photographers and videographers should roughly arrive 30 minutes before the bride is ready. During this time, the photographers and videographers can get shots of the dress, rings, invitation, etc. Just kind of like basic accessories and like location shots. After that point, roughly around 11 to 11:30-ish, your bridesmaids should be roughly ready. Bride's hair and makeup should at least be completed. So the bridesmaids, as well as the mother of bride, any other bridal suite VIPs, should be dressed and ready by the time the bride's hair and makeup is completed. This that way, everyone can be in the background of the photos featuring the brides getting dressed. So when anybody that's not the bride should at least be dressed, meaning because when you're starting to put the dress on for the actual bride, then everybody else should be completely like looking complete. So that's how it kind of gives you more of those photos and videos of like more formalities in a way. Like it looks better when everybody's dressed and just still in their robes or little like onesie gowns or whatever you guys are wearing. So if you want those super cute photos of everyone together in matching robes, I'll pencil this in after hair and makeup, but before the bridesmaids put on their dresses. So then after all that, around roughly at that point, around like 11:30 to noon, bride should be getting dressed. Once you're mostly dressed, now's the time to have the photographer or videographer capture those intimate moments of your maid of honor and maybe bridesmaids too, helping you zip up the dress and slip on your shoes. Make sure your mom has a role too. Perhaps she helps you with your earrings, jewelry, or helping you out zip up the dress, or just adjusting for your veil. I understand there are some people maybe out there that, you know, their parents are not with them anymore, or they just for whatever reason, or you have like a guardian or some sort of like person that's very special for you. Definitely allow the person that you have like a major part of your life help you out with those moments, because you want to see those moments, you know, happen at the end of the day. So you want to get those good photos and good videos of whoever is very important for you to help you out. Roughly, that should take roughly about 30 minutes. Around noon to 12:30, that's when bridal portraits should happen. Once you're fully dressed and ready, the photographers will focus on capturing some beautiful portraits and detailed shots and pre-scout locations around your venue. Also around this time, parallel to this is when the groom and like the groomsmen should be roughly done being dressed as well, and also getting some sort of shots done. You're probably thinking, Ty, like, well, how is that even possible? Well, normally when this is happening, your photographer will have two people. So like the main photographer will be with the bride, and then he'll have like an assistant or a lead on the groom side. Same with the videographers. There's going to be another, you know, videographer there capturing that moment as well. So normally time you'll have 4 people kind of rocking it out. So there should be no worries on that. And you want to make sure you are communicating with your photographer and videographers that you may want those type of things. It's a little bit easier though when it's done in the same location, because if it's done in the same location and if you only have one photographer and videographer, then they kind of bounce back and forth to parties and capturing different moments. So that's how you guys stay on that timeline. So also around the same time, noon and 12:30, just depending on how long it takes. Also around this time for noon and 12:30, like after when you're done capturing those like beautiful portraits, you should also getting photos that are meant to be casual and fun, capturing moments of celebrating between the brides and her friends. If you want any special shots, such as like toasting with champagne, make sure you have the props ready, just in case, you know, if you want to do those kind of like big explosion champagne bottles and stuff like that. Honestly, those type of shots though, I'd rather you have them done in robes than actual dresses, because you don't want to get any like potential messes done on the actual dress, because that would be bad. Mm-hmm. But if it happens, embrace it. Definitely embrace it. If you guys are doing a first look, if you guys don't know what a first look is, it's basically the first time the groom is seeing the bride. Traditionally, normally time, it is done while you guys are walking down the aisle. The groom is waiting for, the bride walking down the aisle in the ceremony, and that's his first time actually seeing it. If you guys are that traditional enough where you guys want to just do it then that's fine. You don't have to worry about the first look, and you save some time. So that kind of helps you out with your timeline to do the extra things that you may need to get done, or you could just relax and just hang out, maybe eat some food. This will be a great time to kind of just relax before the exit ceremony. But if you want to do a first look and do it in a special location or some sorts, once again, this is optional, but first look is a special moment when the two of you see each other for the first time, away from hundreds of eyes that will watch you're exchanging vows during the ceremony. If you don't do this, this will save you time before the ceremony. So this kind of gives you an option to kind of have like a moment of just you two.
Right.
This is a crucial moment. This is before your ceremony. This is before your day. And honestly, like first looks are really great to have personally, because not only it's great to capture it, but this is your time where you could have just you two just looking at each other, talking about it, just,
taking a second
complimenting
to take it in.
each other. Yeah. It's just, the day goes 100 miles per hour. So this is the time where it can kind of slow down for a minute, and you two are just kind of like just gazing each other's eyes and just having a good moment. Normally time after, if you are doing a first look, then you could actually do some photos because you guys already seen each other. So this is a good time. Honestly, first looks helps you out, kind of push the timeline further, because if you don't do a first look, then literally you're kind of rushed to do everything after the ceremony. Like that's all the photos and stuff with families. You kind of could push the family photos now because you guys have already seen each other. So it's kind of nice to actually have that first look done. So this is generally, if we're following our imaginary timeline, first look was 12:30 to 1. So then roughly give you about 15 minutes. So then from 1:15 to 1:30, portrait photos together. If you are opting for a first look, this is an ideal window for your time for your photographer or videographers to capture some intimate portraits of just the two of you at pre-scouted locations around the venues. So it kind of gives you a chance to be able to get some good intimate shots. And trust me, the videographers and photographers are wanting those shots because those are crucial shots for their final product, especially for videos. It's a great steal the moment for those stuff. They'll take roughly like 30 minutes. So I basically have it from 1:15 to 1:30. I kind of gave it some buffer time for an extra 30 minutes. For this timeline, I have the ceremony at 2 o'clock. So at 2 o'clock, ceremony happens, which generally, if it's not a Catholic Mass, normally a ceremony will take about 30 minutes long. This is the time block that varies the most for weddings. The time really depends on the type of ceremony you're having. Typically, non-religious ceremonies last roughly around 20 minutes, while religious-based ceremonies can last up to an hour. So once again, if you're not traditional, you're going to just do a basic ceremony with like a normal officiant of some sort. It's going to be roughly about 20 to 30 minutes. But if you're doing a Catholic Mass or another like religious-based ceremony of some sort, they do tend to take a little bit longer. So you have to make sure you're having that timed in. For this purpose, this ceremony only took 30 minutes. So 3 to 5 p.m., this is when cocktail hour / photo sessions happens. So all your friends or family, like extended family and friends that are seeing the wedding happen, but they're not going to be a part of any other like photo ops, this gives them time to get to the reception if they have to get there, or if it's at the same location, it gives them a chance to do something so that they're not leaving, because you want everyone to still be there. So the cocktail hour is actually built for your guests. It's actually not built for you, sadly. It is actually built for your guests to stay in one location, have some hors d'oeuvres, have some drinks, hang out with people, mingle around, do whatever they need to do to kind of like de-stress, even though there shouldn't be any stress because you're there for... You're just going there. Mm-hmm. So like, there shouldn't be any stress at all. Yeah. But cocktail hour is actually built for them to kind of entertain them. But typically a cocktail hour will be about 2 hours long, because that gives you a chance to kind of break down the photos for your family, for your friends, and also being able to do some photo sessions of just you and your bride or groom. And it just kind of gives the photographers and videographers a chance to actually be able to get some really good stuff. So invite guests to cocktail hour while the two of you escape from some post-ceremony photos with a photographer or videographer. This will give you a much needed break to re-energize for the rest of the night. And depending on how many photos you want to take, you can join the cocktail hour halfway through or spend some time with the bridal suite having appetizers and drinks privately. If you don't opt for a pre-wedding first look, this is also when you would traditionally take your photos together, as well as family portraits and just regular portraits with the entire bridal party. So this will kind of give you a chance to finally do those. So like I said, that's why you should probably have at least 2 hours booked for this, because if you didn't do it before the ceremony, then now you're kind of stuck having to do it after the ceremony. So if you did do a first look, then you could just do maybe like an hour or so of whatever you need to get done. And then you could just hang out during the cocktail hour and actually enjoy some hors d'oeuvres if you want to hang out with people. Or honestly, I'm not going to lie, I'll probably want to spend it with my bride just in general, just to have privacy. So we'll probably grab like a bottle of something and just kind of hang out in a different room, because I never get to see her on this day alone. So it might be a good time for like a nice little 30-minute sesh of just hanging out, relaxing, and just doing whatever you want. Now, if you are wanting sunset photos or videos, this is going to vary throughout the year. So because of whole daylight savings and stuff like that, you're going to lose an hour, gain an hour, when it's during the summertime, the sunset doesn't happen until like 8:30, 9 o'clock, or during like winter time, it happens around 4:30 or 5. So this kind of depends on your sunlight. So kind of you're battling the sun. So if you are doing a winter wedding, I would definitely advise you to do a first look, because it's going to crank out all the photos done. And then that's how, when you're done with the ceremony at 2, it kind of gives you from, 2:30 to 3:30-ish to 4 of actual shots before the sunset. So set aside time in your wedding. It takes additional portraits together during the 30 minutes or so minute leading up to the sunset, which offers opportunities for the incredible natural lighting. This is definitely, it's called golden hour. This is a great moment to actually get those really cool shots that you may see. So I actually have a website that can help out, kind of figure out, like, let's say it's a couple years out or whatever. It kind of generates a typical sunset time, and it's pretty much accurate. I mean, I know it's pretty much accurate from like 2 to 3 months out, but I mean, after like a year or so, it may be different. But the website's called timeanddate.com. It will actually give you the exact sunset time on your date and location to the minute. The actual time of sunset varies widely depending on where and what time of year you're getting married. In the winter months, pre-sunset photos may need to be scheduled as early as around 4 o'clock. So once again, timeanddate.com. I've used it before. It's pretty accurate, but it's kind of a thing where you want to definitely research if you want those type of moody shots. It's going to be definitely needing for you to like communicate with your photographers and videographers on getting those sunset shots.
That's pretty cool. I never heard of that.
It's pretty cool. Like I said, there's a lot of things like we have to do to be able to set it up. So let's say you do take those 2 hours and it's at 5 o'clock. So roughly it's going to take about 30 minutes to get everybody kind of corralled again and get everything ready. At this point, you're going to be doing grand entrances. Sometimes after the grand entrances, you are going to be doing a first dance if you schedule it. Sometimes you may do it later on, but normally it's smart to kind of set the first dance right as you walk in, or even the cake cutting. But once again, it's going to vary. A wedding planner will definitely help you out, kind of like organizes certain things. This would be a great thing to kind of get a hold of Gabby and talk about it. She's great with organizing all of this. So if you guys have any questions for her, definitely try to get a hold of her for this. But basically, you can dance for a full song of dance or fade out for 2 minutes in. The reason why I say that is because there's a lot of songs that are out there that are like 5, 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
And like people will tend to watch you for the first like 2 or 3 minutes, but then after a while, they're just like, okay, just move on. And so I know it's your moment. And if you could do it, if you want to dance for that 5 minutes long, then by all means, dance for 5 minutes long. But it's definitely just one of those things where it's just considered to maybe like do about 2 minutes of the song and just kind of fade out and just call it done. After this, normally time when you're doing the grand entrances, if you walking in, or maybe let's say you do the cake or whatever, this is when normally, typically, about 30 minutes after that, so like around 6 o'clock, you will do like a welcome toast from host. This is normally generally from like a father of some sort or guardian, or it could just be you guys. Just kind of toasting everybody in, saying thank you so much. We're honored you guys are all here. And it kind of helps you out with that. After that, normally time, somebody will say grace. If you're not religious, some people will just say like some sort of blessing of some sort. That's when you normally will typically have dinner. While dinner is happening, this is give or take, it'll be around roughly like an hour, hour and a half. If you are doing a buffet, it's a little bit easier because you could just kind of like, individually grabs, the tables and they can get their food. If you're doing a dinner service or like a plated service, it typically takes a little bit longer because they're serving you. So it's one of the, once again, it's kind of one of those things where it goes by preference. So if you want to do that, that's fine. But normally time buffet is a little bit easier to just get everything all done. Also during the dinner, this is a great time to do speeches and toast because everybody's sitting down. Everybody is eating, doing their thing. Nobody's moving. Nobody's doing anything.
They won't be talking because their mouths will be full.
So like you just hear the clings of the plates and that's it. So like this is a great time to do speeches and toasts. And trust me, the videographers will appreciate this because this kind of gives them time to be able to get it. But also this is their time to like get a break as well. But all we need is about like 30 minutes of a break just to kind of like sit down and kind of like re-energize. But other than that though, this is a great time to get your speeches done. Literally after dinner, I'll say it did finish around 7:15. 7:30 is a great time to like get your first dance if you haven't done the first dance yet, or those formality dances. So this is the father-daughter, mother-son dance, or whatever type of special dance you guys may have. This is a great time to get this done because everybody's once again is sitting down, kind of watching you guys doing stuff like that. Normal time when this is done, this is when you kind of break out into an open dance. Or what we could do is kind of knock out all the other things. So if you haven't done the cake cutting yet, some people like to do cake cutting after dinner because it kind of starts the whole dessert. So if you want to do cake cutting then do it after the dances. This also gives you a chance to do the bouquet toss and garter toss if you are doing that. I still don't really understand those. I don't really I get it. It's a very traditional like thing to do, but it's kind of weird.
It's kind of awkward.
Well, because I mean, like some people don't really know what a garter toss really is.
Yeah.
And like, if people actually knew what the traditional meaning behind that, I feel like it would stop.
Oh, it has been. It's definitely not quite as popular as it used to be, for sure.
It's awkward.
Even bouquet toss, like it seems like such a fun event until you toss it, and then the girl that gets it, and it's supposed to mean that like she's going to be next to be married. Yeah, it's kind of like, I just wanted the pretty flowers.
Wait, do you know what the garter toss means?
I do not. So
the garter toss is actually the actual garter alone is supposed to signify as the bride's virginity.
I kind of figured,
and he's taking the virginity and then continuing on to So it's actually. Because like traditionally, you're not supposed to have sex before marriage type of situation. So that's what it actually signifies is that.
Yeah. So traditionally, you're not supposed to wear white if you're not a virgin either. But
you're supposed to wear black. So little history of weddings. So think
about it.
If you guys want to do the garter toss, go right ahead. I'm not judging you, but it's just very awkward to shoot. Yeah. It just, I don't know. It's weird.
I just imagine my grandma sitting there watching me.
Just your parents.
Yeah.
I'm just I don't know. Do that behind doors. If you want to do that. I just, just throw on Channing Tatum's dance or whatever and just go at it.
Nobody else needs to know.
So anyways, this is normally time open dance will happen. This is a great time for the photographers and videographers to kind of get some stuff of you guys dancing with your people. At this point, roughly around, because it'll open up around like 8:15. At this point, roughly the photographers and videographers have been there for about 10 to 11 hours. So normally time they will be scheduled until like 9 to kind of give you that like 11-hour feel. So you want to try to get everything done as possible. they're not going to be there the whole time.
Yeah.
So
Note on that.
you want to knock everything out, because once everything is done and just kind of open dance and everybody's hanging out and stuff like that, they're not going to want to stay there. I mean, unless you guys book like a family member or a friend and they will actually stay, then that's fine. But if you're getting like any events or just anybody in general, like they're going to want to leave because they've been there for so long. So this also breaks the whole thing of your grand exits. So roughly around 11:30, the venue will try to wrap up, you being there. So you normally will do like a grand exit of you leaving in like a limousine or a car or just something like that. Well, photographers and videographers will not be there for that. So you got to understand, like, that's not going to be recorded. But if you are wanting to do a sparkler exit, you may want to do what's called a mock sparkler exit, like around 8 o'clock, because then they will get those photos and videos done for you. But also, if you make them sit there and wait until 11:30 and you have all these people drinking and just doing whatever, like, it's going to be very dangerous especially with a fire happening. And I've seen a lot of things. And even if we started around 7 o'clock and people were still doing things, getting burnt from the sparklers and stuff like that. Like, so it's already like one of those things where if you want to do the sparklers, which by all means, it's fun to shoot. I enjoy shooting it, but definitely you want to get it done before they leave, because then you could actually capture some good professional photos and videos of it being happen. Definitely we could do is have one during that time. And then if you want to do it again while you're leaving, then you could do it again if you really want to. But I definitely advise you to do this definitely earlier. So if you are doing a grand exit, try to arrange for the final song of your DJ or band ahead of time, as well as to be alerted that the song is coming up. Say your final goodbyes and hugs, and do your final whatever you want to say. If you're having an exit with sparklers or any like festivities, like I said, you could do it at that time, but try to do it before. So that's how your photographers and stuff can get it. And then after that, you're gone and it's done. So with that being said, guys, this is pretty much the timeline of the day. Like I said, this is a very generic one. It is going to vary between different people. I would highly advise you to plan that wedding planner. They're going to help you out build this timeline. If you don't want to do a wedding planner, most photographers and videographers can build a timeline for you. Or what you could do is you could create your own. So you could go on Zola, you could go on literally Google, just say wedding timeline, and there's templates out there that could help you out, organize it, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely advise you doing this. Biggest takeaway is making sure you're getting everything all, just communicating with people and making sure that you're getting everything done before the day of, and then making sure that everything's all organized, because it is a massive day. You do not want to miss any single details. So I know you just want to, you're probably thinking like, I never really thought about booking all this stuff, or just, you probably thought that it was just, you just go on through the day, just kind of, off the cuff, and just things happen. That does not how it works. It's literally like a production day. It sounds bad to say that, but it really is. You're basically putting on a show, and you have to organize everything. You got to make sure people are fed, make sure people are entertained, make sure that everything's happening. It is literally like an event that you're going to, and it takes a lot. And a lot of people just don't understand that for some reason. And so make sure that you have the budget for those, any sort of emergency reasonings or whatever. Make sure you're budgeting everything properly and making sure that you're getting everything done, because you want to make sure that everything is kind of in line for that day. But other than that, guys, congratulations for anybody who are getting married. And I understand that it is stressful at times to kind of book everything out on your own, but there are resources out there and people that are willing to do it and help you out. Yeah. So with that being said, guys, thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys have any comments or concerns about us, definitely email us at weddingsmadeperfectpodcast@gmail.com. You could also comment on our Facebook pages. You could comment on Instagram and also YouTube. If you are watching us on YouTube, please give us a like, also sub, because we will love to just give you guys notifications on when our upcoming episodes are, and also comment on any of our videos if you want to. But once again, guys, my name is Ty, and I have Gabby here with me, and we are signing out.